Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Persephone Maximus. Ladies and gentlemen, today I want to talk a little bit at you about Jeffrey Epstein. Was he trying to build a superior race? Was he trying to build a $6 million man? Maybe even like a $60 million man with inflation? Maybe even like a $64.5 million man? Sounds expensive. In today's story, we are going to East 66th Street. We're going to look at another one of Epstein's properties, and I've got a reason for that. But I want to take you back to my channel for those of you who have not seen this previous video entitled "What the Frick is Going On?" This is from the 17th of last month. Oh, no, it's the 17th today, too. No, I just said that. This is the first property that we looked at in regards to Jeffrey Epstein. And this is the one that was, it was reported that he bought it from Les Wexner, who is the CEO of L Brands, Victoria's Secret, and all that jazz. We also talked about the Frick Center, which is right across the street, but we get a little bit of the lay of the land, and I think it's very important to kind of know the neighborhood as to know how these networks were set up so that we never have to deal with this again. But today, we are talking about another property, and it's right over here. 66th Street, where underage models, lawyers, and key players in Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking circle all live. Ex-Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak is a frequent visitor, and this is from August 2019. And we're just going to cruise through some of this because I want you actually to get a visual lay of the land here. An apartment building on the Upper East Side of Manhattan has been home for years to young models, girlfriends, pilots, and lawyers associated with multimillionaire sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, as you can see, this was kind of where it all went down. It was like the deep state dormitories, I guess. I don't know. Almost all the apartments in the building are owned by Epstein's brother, the real estate developer Mark Epstein. He purchased them from the billionaire Leslie Wexner, Jeffrey Epstein's only known client. Okay, his only known client happened to get him a good deal on both of these buildings. Looks like Leslie Wexner was basically setting Jeffrey Epstein up for business, right? Residents have repeatedly spotted former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak visiting the building. MC Squared, the modeling agency Epstein invested in, used the apartments to house overseas models. MC Squared's founder, Jean-Luc Brunel, had an apartment there. All right, now we're just going to cruise through. Let me take you down here. But it hasn't been all private islands and 7,000-acre ranches for the half-billionaire. For decades, Epstein has run some of his operations quietly out of a squat 2nd Avenue residential building owned by his brother, Mark Epstein, and frequently visited by the former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak. Okay, exciting stuff, right? Very, very creepy right in the heart of Manhattan. Over the years, a number of Epstein's friends have also called 301 East 66th Street home, including his ex-girlfriend, the socialite Ava Anderson, who is now married to hedge fund star and Epstein confidant Glenn Dubin, and his former business partner, MC Squared Models founder Jean-Luc Brunel. According to a page 6 report, the modeling agency was named after Einstein's famous equation, with the missing E standing for Epstein. That's clever. He thinks everyone is too dumb to figure out. We're not too dumb to figure that out. We knew. We got it. Now, I zoomed out a little bit to give you some perspective here, but you can see just below center of your screen, pinged in red here, is 301 East 66th Street. This is where our dormitory of depravity is going down. And up here in the top left, this was the neighborhood of the Frick Center and Epstein's other place. If you haven't seen that video yet, go check out What the Frick. It'll be linked down below for you. But as you can see, it's not that far away. Obviously, these are big city blocks, so it's a lot lot bigger than it seems, but relatively, it's not that far away. So here we go. Let's zoom into 301 East 66th Street. Now, if you'll notice, right across the street here is the Beekman Theater. Now, this is actually a newer location of the Beekman Theater, and it's much more modern. And you may remember this from, I can't remember the movie, the Woody Allen movie. As a matter of fact, Woody Allen has held premieres at the Beekman Theater. So the Beekman family is a very prolific family in New York, along with the Rockefellers, Morgans, Schiffs, Stanleys. They were kind of part of really who built this whole area here. And as we zoom out, you'll start to see in the right side over here where all the Cornell medical centers are. This is kind of a Rockefeller neighborhood too. Rockefeller Research, Rockefeller Research Labs and University, So, but I want to talk about right around here. Now, the Beekmans, although I don't want to go way into them, they have an incredible story. They've been around forever, really since the 13th century. They were Belgian barons. They were barons of Belgium. Yep. And when they came over, they built quite a few things with a little bit of financial support from the Morgans. But they built a lot around here and kind of revitalized this whole area. They were very prolific. But around during the Revolutionary War, as a matter of fact, they were family friends of George Washington. He rode to his inauguration in a Beekman carriage, actually. And that's another way that they got their claim to fame. But very prolific family. If you're familiar with the Revolutionary War story of the spy, the Patriot spy Nathan Hale, who was executed, that was on their property. The British military took over the Beekman house as their headquarters when they came over. So anyway, I don't want to go way into them, but I just want to establish that that is another one of those really prolific families that we're always talking about, along with the Rockefellers, Morgans, etc., etc. Okay, so right now, I want to take you right here. It's actually adjacent to the building here. It looks like it's part of the same building here. This is the Sephardic Academy of Manhattan. And here it is. It's under this childcarecenter.us, which is a website that hosts all these different schools. I want to point out that this logo is pretty suspect. I don't want to go way into it, but it's kind of got that heart within a heart thing going on. And if you're not familiar with some of these logos, I highly suggest you get yourself familiar with. Just go on to the FBI's official website and you will see the different girl love, boy love kind of logos, the different pedophilia logos. It's important that you know, but I'll just say this, and I'm not going to say anything necessarily about childcarecenter.us. Just want to say that that logo looks a little suspect to me, but it gets even more suspect. Keep in mind, this is attached to the building that Epstein was living in. Programming, licensing details, age range 2 years to 5 years. But that's not the most disturbing part. It's down here. The providers in zip code 10065. Let's check them out, shall we? Oh, would you look at that? The Rockefeller University Child and Family Center, Weill Cornell Children's Center at East 62nd. Keep in mind that these are nearby, like I just showed you, right? Temple Emmanuel Nursery School. Oh, look at that. The Vanderbilt YMCA Day Camp. The Rockefeller University, once again. Christ Church, Sephardic Academy of Manhattan. And then we've got Equinox Holdings. And oddly enough, this is the same Equinox Holdings that owns the Equinox, the Trump donors that got protested. Their little spinning class or whatever got protested. This is the same group, Equinox Holding. Yes, indeed. So there you go. Okay, so now that we're thoroughly creeped out, let's go back to the Googly map, shall we? I want to point out that obviously there's a lot of medical stuff around here, medical centers, because it gets into the Cornell Medical and Rockefeller University and all that. But Cornell Medical Group has themselves some offices right here, pediatricians, of course, too. And right over here is the New York Blood Center. How about that? Well, of course, they've got a lot of pediatricians around here because you've got yourself the Julia Richmond Education Complex. And let's take a peek at that on the Wikipedia, shall we? The Julia Richmond Education Complex is an educational multiplex located in the Upper East Side neighborhood in Manhattan, New York City, New York, USA. Named after the District Superintendent of Schools, Julia Richmond, it houses 6 autonomous small schools for approximately 1,800 100 pre-K through 12th grade students in the former Julia Richmond High School building. Nice. But it gets better. And by better, I mean it gets a lot worse. The facility was built in 1923 as an all-girls commercial high school. Need to interrupt. The other property we talked about in the Epstein property that was across from the Frick Center used to also be an all-girls school. Just saying. Julia Richmond High School, by 1990, the New York City Board of Education identified the high school as having the worst statistics of student achievement in Manhattan. The local police precinct referred to the crime-infested school as Julia Rikers, known for its violence and vandalism. Metal detectors were installed and metal cages were used to isolate students with disciplinary problems. Only 37% of its enrollees graduated. Nice. Shooting free throws like Shaq is what we're saying. The school closed to entering freshmen in 1993 who were given the opportunity to attend one of the 6 new small schools located outside the school building, with money provided in part by the entities such as the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Let's stop and throw up another red flag. The Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, just very much like Zuckerberg and his wife, all these tech giants, they want to get into education. And Bill and Melinda Gates are way into medicine. They're way into education, AI, DNA research. Okay, I think you picking up what I'm putting down. The building was redesigned from a single school into a multi-age, multi-service learning community with 6 autonomous public small schools. You got the Urban Academy High School. Urban Academy is an inquiry-based, college-oriented high school with a rigorous academic focus. Okay, nice. Over here we have the Vanguard High School. Vanguard is a college prep school, grades 9 through 12 for students from all boroughs of New York City. Nice. And then you've got Talent Unlimited High School, a small school for the performing arts. Sounds like one of those Glee things, right? Nice. I'll bet you that's probably where they get a lot of their talent. Junior High Annex P226M is a school for children with autism. Wow. I told you it gets worse. The Ella Baker School. Ella Baker School is a pre-K through 8th grade school serving approximately 317 students. I know. It is named after the African-American civil rights and human rights activist Ella Josephine Baker. And then finally, you've got the Manhattan International High School. Manhattan International is a high school for recent immigrants with a focus on students whose first language is not English. Quick extra note on the Julia Richmond Education Complex. They also have a program called First Steps, which is like a care center for toddlers born to teen parents. And considering the abysmal graduation record going on over there, I'd say they're not exactly batting 1,000 at the Julia Richmond Educational Complex. Okay, so tons and tons of disenfranchised youth in the same vicinity as tons of medical centers and perverts and younger children. Nice. And over here, we have the Mothers for More halfway house. How about Take Me to the Water swim school? This just doesn't seem like a very good development area for all these kids. And of course, down the street over here, we've got the Memorial Sloan Kettering blood donation room, not too far from the other blood donation center. They got plenty of places to give blood. And of course, we've got the Rockefeller Research Laboratories just a stone's throw away down in your bottom right corner. And I'm sure they've probably never had any problem with children. Or did they? This is from ABC 7, November 3rd, 2018. Attorneys for victims of a child sex abuse scandal at a prestigious research hospital in Manhattan are calling for an investigation by the New York Attorney General. Rockefeller University Hospital sent out 1,000 letters to potential victims of sexual attacks by one of its former doctors, Reginald Archibald. That sounds like royalty right there. Reginald Archibald. But now attorneys for some of the victims say the number could be in the thousands, and they're demanding the investigations. Okay, so this guy was around for a long time, and it's pretty gnarly, some of the stories here that people are talking about. But let me just give you the skinny. The lawyers say there could be thousands of victims in this case. Dr. Archibald saw nearly 9,000 patients, all of them children, during his years there. The lawyers have documented abuse from his first years at the facility to when he retired. Some of those victims say the hospital should have done more to protect them. What about the damage done to the thousands of patients, and we're all damaged from this? Okay, so this is really, really terrible. And this was all going on right down the street. You may remember the story of Jennifer Araoz, who was only 14 when she was approached by this quote-unquote mystery woman, according to the New York Post, which I would assume to be Ghislaine Maxwell, or somebody told me it was Ghislaine Maxwell. Anyway, we don't know exactly who it was, but she was only 14 years old, and she was attending the Talent Unlimited High School, which is right over here. So you can see this was all right here in the neighborhood, and it seems to be all kind of conveniently set up. I also want to rememberize you that Jeffrey Epstein sat on the board over here, down here at the Rockefeller University. Okay, so we're looking at a neighborhood here with some straight up perverts in a neighborhood with a ton of at-risk youth that aren't graduating very well, probably need a lot of medication. We've got blood donation centers in the area. And then, of course, we've got Rockefeller, which always stinks. Now, the Rockefeller University is big on this CRISPR, or genome editing. The CRISPR and Genome Editing Center provides gene targeting and mouse embryonic stem cell technology for members of the Rockefeller University Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, which is right nearby, and their collaborators. Okay, so this is gene editing, and this is some pretty crazy stuff. Now, I suppose we could argue the value of this all, but we do know that our boy Jeffrey Epstein had that Zorro Ranch out there in New Mexico. Now, let me see if I can connect at least a little bit of this. Former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson had been rumored to be out there. He gave a lot of money, Epstein gave a lot of money to his campaign. Now you've got Bill Richardson, who went out to North Korea some years ago, and he went out there with Eric Schmidt from Google. What was he doing out there? Former governor? Going out to North Korea, setting up some servers. What were on those servers? Now, think about Google, parent company, Alphabet, Sergey Brin, big founder, all these knuckleheads. And of course, he was married to Ann Wojcicki. Ann Wojcicki from 23andMe, Human Genome. You send them their DNA and they tell you where you're from and what you're going to get sick to and what kind of foods you should eat and blah, 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 blah. But the fact of the matter is that both of them are gathering your data. Google is gathering all kinds of data from you. And of course, 23andMe, a company like this, gathers your DNA. And of course, that's the ultimate form of data, right? This is the big thing. And of course, Jeffrey Epstein, he had himself a little plan to inseminate the human race out there, right? He wanted to do a little sperm donation bank out there at the Zorro Ranch. So I think you see what's going on. He was trying to create himself a little super race. And I suppose that would involve some of this CRISPR genome editing that the Rockefeller University, that Epstein just happened to sit on the board of, is researching. Now, you've probably recognized that name Wojcicki because Ann Wojcicki's sister is, of course, CEO of YouTube and on permanent cake ban list, Susan Wojcicki. So, Patrick, what is this CRISPR, pray tell, of which you speak? Well, I couldn't speak intelligently about it, but you know who can? Feng Zhang from the Broad Institute. And I want to thank an Anon who sent me off in this direction. Let's have him give us a little basic explanation on how CRISPR works.
For a long time now, we have known genetic mutations that underlie disease. And so one of the thoughts is, if we know what mutations cause disease, why not just go in and replace it and revert it back to the normal sequence? And CRISPR is a technology that we harness from bacterial cells to be able to make those precise changes in the human genome. And the way it works is, imagine if you are writing a novel and you are proofreading the novel and there are some typos you want to fix. And let's say the sentence in the novel said twinkle, twinkle, big star, but you really want to fix it so that it's twinkle, twinkle, little star. There are different ways to fix it. You can either get rid of the word big, that would read twinkle twinkle star. It doesn't capture the full meaning of what you're intending the sentence to be. And other ways is to just add in the little word. So you have twinkle twinkle big little star. And that still is quite confusing. So what you have to do is you have to go in and replace big with little. And so one way to do this, you may give Cas9 a RNA that encodes twinkle twinkle big star. And by taking this search string, Cas9 can go into the genome and try to find a place where the mutation matches twinkle twinkle big star. And then Cas9 would make a cut in the word big, and then by providing the cell with a repair template that carries the word little, the cell will repair this DNA break with the new repair sequence.
Okay, so there you go, and I am not going to claim to be very scientifically inclined, but I started looking into this whole Cas9 thing that he was talking about, and again, thanks to an Anon who turned me into the right direction, but I started going through a few of these journals, and I noticed this right here, a D5-9. Well, what is D5? Well, you see over here, thanks to the Anon who sent me this, it's the vaccinia virus D5 protein, which is required for DNA replication. Is a nucleic acid independent nucleoside triphosphatase. Is this triphosphatase our D5? I don't know, but I thought it was interesting. So did the Anon who sent that to me. So thank you very much. Q talks a lot about a D5, and I just thought I would bring that up. Now, before we move on from the Googly map, I want to give you one more place of note that at least I thought was interesting. If you can see kind of center right of your screen where the red is pinged there, let me zoom in on it more. There is the original place we were talking about, 301 East 66th Street, where Epstein and all his knuckleheads were housed. But now I want to take you over here, kind of left, we'll bring it center of your screen here, right? Just a couple blocks away. I want to point out a couple more things. The first one is this little cafe right here, and it's entitled Alice's Teacup. It's right there in the center of your screen. Now, I don't want to bag on this place because I don't really know, but I think knowing what we kind of know with all the Alice in Wonderland references and what I was talking about in Central Park on the last video, I thought it was of note. It's called Chapter 2, Alice's Teacup Chapter 2. They have a handful of them now, and this is the second one. I didn't really see anything nefarious, but if you do decide to check it out, check out Alice's Teacup Chapter 2. They have a little promo video on their website, and the only thing that I would notice is that there were a lot of kids in the video, and there weren't a lot of dads. So that's all I'm going to say about that. But let's move one more block over from there. And you can see right here, center left, let me get a little closer, the Houston House. The Houston House is sort of like the ultimate bachelor pad. This was a place that housed Andy Warhol, Liza Minnelli, tons of A-list celebrities, and it's selling for about $28 million. It's been renovated a few times. Don't know if anything nefarious was going on there, but considering Liza Minnelli and Andy Warhol hung out there, I wouldn't be surprised. But right behind them is the Russell Sage Foundation. And this is a really old foundation, the Sage family being another one of those old stalwarts. Olivia Sage was the one who started it. The Russell Sage Foundation currently pursues 4 principal programs: behavioral economics, the future of work, race, ethnicity, and immigration, and social, political, and economic inequality. Sounds like just what we need. Well, these cats take in tons and tons of dollars every single year. It's quite a foundation. And they are also wrapped up with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Imagine that. So there you go. Looks like all our money is kind of concentrated in one little place. All our knucklehead philanthropists that happen to be around at-risk youth kids and blood donation centers and pizza places and Alice in Wonderland and Rockefellers and universities and CRISPRs and gene editing. Sounds to me like a bunch of eugenicists trying to make people better. But the question is, where is Guillaume? Guillaume, where are you? Jeffrey Epstein's gal pal, Guillaume Maxwell, spotted at In-N-Out Burger in first photo since his death. Jeffrey Epstein's former gal pal, Guillaume Maxwell, isn't holed up in her British manor or summering on the Massachusetts coast. Nope, the Post found the socialite hiding in plain sight in the least likely place imaginable, a fast food joint in LA. Maxwell, 57, the alleged madam to the multimillionaire pedophile, was scarfing down a burger, fries, and shake al fresco at an In-N-Out burger on Monday while reading The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives, a nonfiction bestseller by journalist Ted Goop. Wow, that's wild. Why do they call a shake al fresco? Don't call my shake al fresco. Just call it a shake, okay? It sounds pretentious when you call it al fresco. But In-N-Out burger is good. So she just happened to be in the middle of LA reading a book, and there she is with her Better Homes and Gardens pose right there. She's like, oh, you caught me reading my book about CIA operatives in the middle of LA. So this stinks. This stinks. And this happened to be The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. Well, big thanks to Enoch on Twitter, who also thought this seemed a little bit funky. So funky that they made this sweet little graphic here that we're looking at. Do you believe in coincidence? And on the left, of course, we see the famous picture here of Guilin and her book while drinking her al fresco shake. Well, the bottom left here is the Amazon book review. Check this out. A good friend of mine died recently under very tragic circumstances. Some of us saw it coming for quite a while, but it was still a huge shock when it finally happened. I picked up this book at the advice of a friend and absolutely couldn't put it down. I'd read it walking the dog, getting fast food, or even just lounging around the house. It helped me realize that my friend really believed in something, and that giving your life for the CIA, NSA, FBI, Mossad, or other intelligence agency is truly a higher calling and not something to mourn. A wholehearted recommendation. Of course, let's keep in mind that Guilin's father, Robert, was a Mossad agent, or at least suspected to be Mossad. And of course, they ran the Daily Mirror, and he had himself a funky little disappearance back in the 90s too on his boat entitled Lady Guilin. Now, this is the book in the center, The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. And then on the right, we see the flashy cover from the New York Post. Exclusive Epstein's Madam at LA Burger Stand, because that's where you go when you want to get away from things. In a pickle. And Enoch was picking up what they were putting down here. What you see on the bottom right here, it says the Big Apple Pickle Factory CIA. And that is a reference to the CIA. Basically, the CIA itself is one big pickle factory, and Q has referenced that too. And that's not really just from Q. That's sort of an old reference too. But good on you, Enoch, for picking that up. Now, let me just read you the middle part right here. The New York Post reported, the 57-year-old was photographed alive and well Monday at the burger joint's location in Universal City. And if you're not from California, Universal City, there's a ton of people right there. That is not where you want to go when you want to get away from it. Once spotted, Maxwell, who was sitting alone with a pet pooch, told an onlooker, well, I guess this is the last time I'll be eating here. Maxwell, who was reading a book called The Book of Honor, The Secret Lives and Deaths of CIA Operatives. Okay, blah, 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 blah. So Guilin right there out in the open. Looks like that is more of a flag or a signal for us. This seems highly suspect. And of course, there's a lot of people thinking that the In-N-Out reference might even be a reference to Epstein himself, who was kind of in and out of prison, right? Wrong, Guilin. All right, Patriots, that's all I got for you for today. As always, if you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to you who do that already. I greatly appreciate it. If you're new to my channel, please understand you will get unclicked and unnotified and unsubscribed from time to time. That's just how it goes. You don't need to let me know, but do me a favor and please check back, re-click yourself, resubscribe yourself, re-notify yourself, do whatever you got to do. And I highly suggest bookmarking my page if you can. That'll help you find my new videos. All my alternate links are down below. My Gab, my BitChute, my Brighteon.com, my DropSpace, and I'm over at Twitter at IPOT1776. That's IPOT1776. Those are linked down below. If you've got information for me, please do not DM me on Twitter. I don't DM anyone on Twitter. Please send me email. That's where I check for all the info. My email is down below. If you're old school and want to send me something, my P.O. box is down below. Thanks to all of you who send me fun little stuff down below. And of course, my Patreon is down below if you'd like to support the channel. All those are linked down below in the video description. All right, Patriots, this is Sir Patrick Mack. And until next time, stay funky.